In this video, we'll learn about the screen blend mode. Lucky for us, this should actually be pretty simple because screen is just the opposite of multiply. So as we learned in the last video, multiply works by combining darkness from the base layer and the darkness in the blend layer. And screen is just the opposite of that. It will combine the brightness in your base layer with brightness that you add in the blend layer. And really, we could end the video here. Screen is exactly the same as multiply, but the opposite. So take everything we learned in the last video and just reverse it. Now, even though we could end the video, I want to show you a few examples of screen, just to make sure everything is crystal clear. To begin, I'm going to place the black heart that we worked on in the last video. So I'll go to File, and then down to Place. I'll just add this black heart by double-clicking, and then I'll click and drag to add it. Before I change the blend mode to screen, I want you to try to figure out what will happen. Remember, we just learned that screen is the opposite of multiply, so think back to what happened in the last video, and then reverse it. Okay, are you ready? Let's turn this into the screen blend mode. By using screen, the black heart is removed, and the white background stays the same. Because remember, screen combines the brightness of the base layer and the blend layer. Since black has no brightness to it, it's completely removed when you use screen. And since white is 100% bright, it will just stay the same. Okay, now let's see what happens when we place the gray heart. We already know that white will stay the same, but what about gray? Well, let's turn on the screen blend mode to see what happens. All right, interesting. By using screen, the gray heart combines with the brightness of the underlying photo. So if I place the heart over her dark shirt, you can see it looks pretty much the same as when we placed it, because her shirt doesn't have much light to add to the heart. But if I place it over her bright face, you can see the heart becomes much lighter and transparent as it combines with the brightness underneath it. Okay, now let's place one more image just to see how it works with screen. First, I'm going to delete both of these heart layers just to clean up our workspace. Then I'm going to place the image with the red dots. So I'll go to File, Place, and I'll select this red dot image. Okay, before I turn on screen, let me just ask you a few questions to really test your understanding of screen. First, what will happen to the black background when we turn on screen? Okay, question 2, what will happen to the circles that are on her shirt? Remember that her shirt is very dark, so it doesn't have much brightness to contribute to screen. Question number 3, what will happen to the circle that's on the sky? Remember that the sky is so bright that it's actually pure white. And question number 4, what will happen to all of the other circles? These circles are scattered throughout the image on areas that aren't quite white or black, but have different levels of brightness. If you want to take a minute to try and figure out the answer to each question, go ahead and pause the video here. Then after you have your answers, we can go ahead and continue with the video. All right, here's the moment of truth. Let's turn on the screen blend mode. And there you have it. That's what screen does to this photo. So let's take a minute to examine it and see the answer to each of the 4 questions. Question 1 was what would happen to the black background? If you guessed that it would be removed, then you're correct. Black has no brightness, so it's removed when you use screen. Question number 2 is what would happen to the circles that are on her dark shirt? You can see that these circles look pretty much the same because the underlying photo doesn't have much brightness to add to the circles. Question number 3 was what would happen to the circle that's up in the bright sky? You can see that the circle here is no longer visible because the sky was white. White is already 100% bright, so adding brightness from the circle doesn't make any difference. White is already at 100%, so white areas will just remain white. And finally, question 4 is what would happen to all of these other circles scattered throughout the image? As you can see, these circles have all blended with the brightness of the underlying photo. So in areas of the photo where it's a little bit brighter, like the grass down here, you can see that the circles have become very light and transparent. And in darker areas of the photo, the circles have a little bit of light added to them, but they look pretty much the same as before we turned on screen. All right, and with that, we are done. You now have everything you need to work with the screen blend mode. We'll be practicing using this blend mode a lot throughout the course, but for now, we can go ahead and move on to the next video and learn about the overlay blend mode.